Hey, it's Ubu. Today I'm going to be reviewing the demo for Death in Abyss. Unfortunately, I realized after recording for an hour and a half that for some reason OBS decided not to pick up my mic audio and set it to a different default for no reason whatsoever, so I'm not thrilled about that, but I'm still going to review this. I just got done playing the demo. As you can tell, I'm a little heated, so please forgive me. The game is developed by Angelvic and it's self-published. You can find it on Steam. And if you're not familiar with my channel, I generally play games, and at the end of the videos, I will review them, share my general thoughts, and give it my final judgment. This video is going to be just a salvage of my gameplay and hopefully you enjoy it. I will have some background footage playing, and then I'll maybe cut into it so you can actually hear some of the gameplay and whatnot as I describe some aspects of this. I break down my reviews in terms of its visuals, its audio, mechanics, story and concept, its performance and settings, and then I give it my final judgment. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the visuals. I think the game visually is great. I think it's really awesome. Has this very nice retro aesthetic that's very appealing. It's very unsettling. The environment and all of the monster designs and whatnot are very creepy and strange and really give you this really strange sense of dread and terror as you're trying to fight for your life down in the depths of whatever hellish ocean or whatever we're in. So overall, visually, I think it's great. I really like the enemy design, especially the boss design as well is really nice, and even the big creepy centipede thing they show towards the very end of the game, very creepy stuff. There's also an enemy that appears at some point that like darkens the environment and kind of muffles the sound, and it's like this big weird thing, and it's very unsettling, especially if you have fear of deep waters or megalophobia or whatever. This game, it can be very unsettling to look at, especially, but overall visually I think it's great. I like the menus, the text, the colors, and everything they used for the UI and how all that works. So very solid in terms of its visual presentation. Very good job. Now in terms of audio, the audio I think is also pretty strong. It's very arcadey, you know, with the shooting with your ship, all the weird monster sounds, the unsettling music, and just the overall ambience of this game. Very strange and disturbing in my opinion. And the audio design really holds that up. It really carries that sense of dread and terror throughout the game. And I think it does a really good job. I like the shooting and all the sounds of flying around and dodging, the big laser attacks that some of the enemies do. I think all the sound design comes together very well. It is noisy, but it's not to where you can't distinguish between certain attacks that enemies do and whatnot, because the laser attack that some enemies do, and especially the big boss towards the end, is especially important to kind of remember how that audio works. Like, it will warn you as soon as the laser is about to go off, so you need to sort of remember how to time that. And overall, I think the audio design is great. I don't have any issues with it personally. I'm not a big fan of the constant beeping that's on the main menu. I don't have that playing at the moment. It's just to show that we're the last remaining dot in the depths of this place. And I wish the main menu, it would just kind of do that for a little while and quit and just have ambient music or something. That's just a personal nitpick, not that big a deal. Overall, the audio across the board, I would say, is really solid. In terms of mechanics, this game is basically a Star Fox 64 style arcade shooter kind of thing, and I really enjoy that. I haven't played a game like this in a long time, so it was definitely refreshing and I really enjoyed it. A lot of the times throughout the primary engagements towards the beginning of the game, you have these little monsters that are constantly chasing you, which you can use your lock-ons with your missiles to kill or keep them kind of under control, but that way you're able to sort of replenish your health as well. And it took me a while to understand that when you take damage in this game, the bar at the bottom will fill up, and then if you hit critical, you need to kill a certain amount of enemies to get a second wind to keep you from dying. And as you kill enemies, it will make that critical bar reduce back down to 0. So it encourages you to maneuver as best you can, kill as many enemies as you can without taking too much damage, and that way you can replenish your health. And I think that works together really well. There's a nice ebb and flow there. It can get a little frustrating from how much damage some enemies do, but this game is definitely a challenge, which I'm not faulting the game for. I like games that present challenges to me, and I don't play these kind of games all the time, but if you're looking for a challenge, I think this can definitely be one. And it's very subjective, of course. If you're just, if this is like second nature to you, you might not have any troubles at all, but I struggled greatly on the boss towards the end. But anyways, I don't mean to be all over the place. You'll be shooting your laser, which you can also tap the shoot button to make it more of a shotgun effect. So you can get real close in on some enemies and blast them with the shotgun mode. Get away, shoot with just your ranged attack, and then lock on with your missiles and shoot your missiles. So the way your weapons work is pretty straightforward. I wonder if they're going to add some sort of upgrade system to potentially change how your ship functions and whatnot. I'm not really sure, but that would be really cool to see. But I think for what it is and how it's presented here in the demo, it's pretty solid. I think it's satisfying to, just play the game in general. I was having a lot of fun just flying around, shooting enemies, avoiding attacks, just being creeped out in this weird place at the same time. So while it is definitely a challenge, mostly with the boss itself at the end, because the amount of damage he does to you is kind of crazy, and you don't have a lot of opportunity to refill your health like you normally would. So you have to be very, very careful on the final boss. So overall, mechanics, I would say, are good. Even though this game is definitely a challenge, or it can be a challenge, I welcome that, and I think it's a good thing. I'm not the kind of person that faults a game because it's too difficult for me or that I struggled with it. That's just definitely an observation that I had from my own personal experience. Anyway, sorry, I'm trying to slow down. I'm a little fired up still today, so I don't mean to like go 100 miles an hour in my review here. Another thing with the mechanics I failed to mention is that there eventually will be a gold bug that shows up and flies around. You hunt him down and shoot him, he'll drop a green orb. You pick the green orb up and it will cause your ship to sort of like auto attack and shoot out additional bullets, which I think is really nice. I was kind of hoping for something like that during the boss, which I struggled with pretty badly, but overall I think it's cool to see little upgrades and power-ups like that pop up here and there. Kind of gives you a little bit of reprieve from just the overwhelming onslaught that you're experiencing. But I wonder if there's going to be more power-ups or potential upgrades or something to find while we're actually in combat. I think that'd be really cool to see, but I think for what they presented here, the little gold bug is definitely a welcome sight. The boss itself, mechanically, I would say is pretty solid. It introduces an attack that you're familiar with from earlier on, a laser attack that will lock onto you, and then it charges up, and then it goes off. So you need to time your maneuvers and your dodges with that charge up. Right before it goes off, you need to dodge out of the way. If you spam your dodge, it can catch you with its hit scan. Let's say you dodge too early, it will snap to your new location and still hit you, so you need to be very, very careful. The boss will have these eyes that you need to destroy, and he's shooting lasers out of them periodically, and as you destroy the eyes, he then goes into a mode where he'll spin his tail around in different directions, which you also need to avoid. Now, as you destroy the eyes, he spawns little ads that come out, and they float around the environment, and they explode when they die. So you have to be very careful about when you kill them, but I believe when you kill them near him, they damage him as well. So there's a way to kind of use his, I guess, body against him, but you have to be very patient, try to slow yourself down, dodging his tail attacks and dodging the lasers, and then you kill enough of his eyes, and then he starts to chase you. You need to flip your camera to behind you and fly away from him. And don't overdo your boost mechanic as well, because if you boost too long and max out the boost bar, it will start to damage you. So you need to be very touchy about that. You need to really be hesitant on how much you use it. It recharges very quickly as well. So once you kind of get the ebb and flow of how your boost works, it becomes a lot easier to maneuver and to sort of play around the enemy movement as well. So overall, I really enjoyed the boss. It was very difficult because it was so punishing. But after you beat that boss, you run across another boss-like entity, which is like this centipede demon-looking thing. And that's basically the end of the demo. Overall, mechanically, I've gone on for a while about mechanics, I know, but there's a lot going on here. And I think it's a very satisfying game to play, even with its challenges. I think it's well-rounded for a demo. Now, in terms of story and concept, the story is just sort of on the surface, where you're just in this deep sea, this extraterrestrial deep sea environment, killing these awful infectious monsters. So you need to just fight your way through, I assume, go deeper and deeper in the full game and see what lies in wait. And I'm not really sure where the story is going to go beyond just us being here in this environment and just the overwhelming presence of this unknown world. But I like the, you know, text that they show of like scanning the environment and unknown entity approaching and stuff like that. So I think that's really cool. Obviously, the gameplay is the primary focus of this game. I like the little tidbits of world building throughout, and I think that holds up the game really well and just the overall vibe of the game. So while there's not much story I can really touch on just from the demo, I think it definitely has set up enough to make me wonder and get me really intrigued in just the overall environment and whatnot. So while the story is very like esoteric, I think it's well done still. Now, in terms of the concept of the game, I think it's super awesome. I like the Star Fox 64 inspiration really showing, and just the focus on this like really engaging, like hardcore alien shooter, like arcade game. And I think it's really cool. So conceptually, the game is awesome. So really good stuff there. Now, in terms of performance and settings, I have no problems with the performance. I thought it performed totally fine for me personally, and I think it did great there. So we'll also talk about the settings during this segment. So you have your general settings here, and you can invert your move axis here, your axes. You have X, Y that you can invert here. You can toggle your back view. So if you need to fly away and use your back view, you can just have that where you just press it to have it on, press it to turn it off, which actually might work really well. You can change the scale of your crosshair, which is pretty cool. You have your mouse sensitivity and your field of view. And you can also edit your controls here, so that's nice to see. Then under your graphics settings, you have your resolution, which mine is locked at the moment. I assume maybe because of VSync. I'm not sure why, but full screen, VSync. You have your gamma, you have your scan line effects, you have your pixelation, your bloom, and your depth of field, so you can adjust all of that to your liking. I think that's pretty good. And for your sound settings, you have music and just your master volume, I guess, or just sound in general, like effects and whatnot, because if I turn it up, you can hear the beeping I was talking about, which I didn't want to talk over, so I have it on 0. But anyways, I would say the settings are pretty solid. I think they're appropriate, especially for a demo. They let you adjust some things in terms of your graphics, lets you adjust some of the volume if you have any issues with that as well. And of course, altering things like your crosshair and whatnot, I think is really cool as well. So overall, I would say performance is great and the settings are pretty good too. But anyways, with all that being said, my final judgment for the Death in Abyss demo is I would say it's an excellent game. It's at the very top of my scale, especially for a demo. Everything in this game comes together very well in terms of its visuals, its audio design, its mechanics. It's very fun to play, even with its challenges. The story, while very vague and esoteric, I think definitely raises a lot of questions in a good way. It really makes me wonder about the world that we're in and what's going on. And I think that's a great thing to start with. Concept is also very well put together. I just really like the overall vibe, the horror really showing through, the arcade shooting sort of Star Fox vibe too. All of that comes together really well. So great job all the way around. Performance is great as well. I think the settings are acceptable for a demo, and just an overall great first impression for a game. I think this is an excellent demo. Very well done. Even with my frustrations of that boss at the end, man, that was tough. I think I died to him probably 20 times or something. I just kept messing up, but I persevered. I stuck to it, and we finally got him. So I just really liked this. I've been meaning to play this for a while, but glad I finally got around to it. I wish my video would have turned out a little different, but I hope I wasn't talking too fast or any of that. Like I said, I'm really fired up right now, so I'm trying to just stay cool, you know. But anyways, great job with this. I can't wait to see what you have in the full game, because I think this is really cool, really unique. I've never really played a game like this, not a long time, and I think it was a good time. So great work. But anyways, keep up the great work, and I wish you the best of luck on your future endeavors. Tell me what you think in the comments below. What are your thoughts in this game? Do you agree or disagree with me? Do you have anything to add? Do you just want to say hi? Let me know what's up. Don't forget to check the pinned comment below for the links to everything and go play this game for yourself and form your own opinion. And if you'd like to support my channel, hit subscribe, leave a like, comment, and share the video. I'd greatly appreciate that. And I thank you for watching my video. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I think that's all I have to say about it. So thanks for hanging out with me. Don't forget.
The pale moth is always